at this point, we are the Denver Yaz Ryans. Like, she's our attack. She's the force. Like, yeah, the game meant something to her, and boy, does she mean something to us.
That's our opener right there.
We were meant to climb on high.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to Sum It Up, your one-stop shop for all things Denver Summit FC, with plenty of side hikes into the greater NWSL landscape, women's sports in Denver, and everything you should know about the culture and community of soccer at 5280. I'm your host, Kaylee, and with me is my co-host, Matt. Before we dive into everything we saw in the Houston Dash matchup and what is to come against the Portland Thorns, Matt, take us peak to peak with all the hot goss and community events going on.
Wait, I'm supposed to have hot goss?
Yeah,
okay.
I
I can do this.
Add
okay.
that in this time.
Okay. Here's the gossip. I'm going to lean in because, it's hot. This British bloke, he told me that this Mexican chick named Lourdes got called up to the Mexican U23 national camp where she'll be there for 2 to 3 weeks as she prepares for the 2026 Central America Games with Team Mexico, where they're going to face, get this, ready? Puerto Rico, Colombia, and then Jamaica in the group stage. Now, come on, the tea is hot, right?
The tea is hot, Matt. Your delivery was incredible. And let's go, Lourdes. We're so excited for her.
Yeah, for those of you that don't speak Love Island, Lourdes Bosch was called into the U23 Mexican domestic camp. She's down in Mexico now. I spoke to Nick about this. He did lament missing her for 2 to 3 weeks, especially at such a critical time where there are minutes for her to play. There are lineups for her to find herself in. But he doubled down. You always support your players' ambitions, especially on the national stage like this. And everyone just seems really stoked for Lourdes. And we reached out to her. Like, I'm going to be honest, I got a little worried. I was like, Lourdes, I didn't see you in training this week. Everything okay? Is an injury? God forbid. Are you going to another team? Like, I asked Kurt about this. Lourdes, if you're listening, we care very much. We were wondering where you were. We're so stoked now that the news is public that you're down at that camp, and we expect big things from you down there.
Yes, absolutely. Way to go, Lourdes. We're excited and can't wait to tune in to see. So, Matt, that's your hot goss for today.
Well, okay, so here, I got another one. I heard that my friends, the Cohens, built this really cool new house. They're calling it like a performance center. It's like 20,000 square feet. And then right next to it, you're never going to guess what they built next to it. Do you want to guess?
Could it be like a soccer pitch?
It is a 14,500 seat soccer stadium. And here's the best part. Do you know what color they made the majority of the stadium? It's wild. You're never going to guess it. You're never going to guess it.
I mean, probably bright orange if I had to
green.
guess.
It's green. Yeah, it's green. And
okay, moving forward, this is our new format of Peak to Peak because this is hilarious. I am dying.
So the new hot goss is that some of the friends are getting invited over on Thursday, and we're going to get to do like a little like cribs episode and see this new green stadium. I'm pretty stoked for that. But that's not the biggest deal because then 14,494 more people are going to show up because this really cool chick is gonna make her debut. Have you heard? She's a pretty popular girl. You might know her. Lindsay Heaps?
I think I know her. Yeah. We've met.
She's coming over. It's gonna be lit.
This is by far the best pivot I've ever made on this show. Matt, you need to start a gossip channel now. I mean, you have the voice, you have the cadence. We're ready for it.
Well, speaking of gossip, should we talk about what happened last weekend? I mean, poof.
Yes. Okay. Moving on to our Houston Dash recap, where your Summit came out with a 2-2 draw. This game felt much more Summit football than we've seen previously in the Kansas City match. Previously, Nick called the KC match an unacceptable performance. And I was a little curious to see, just with how downtrodden he was and how frustrated he was and how frustrated the team was after that performance, if they would answer the call. And I do feel like they did. A draw isn't necessarily the result we were hoping for, but I walked away from this game feeling encouraged because I felt like we finally saw the response that Nick and Janine talked about after Kansas City. We saw the energy, we saw the urgency, and we saw a team that looked determined to put that performance behind them and for us to stop talking about it, honestly. The frustrating part, Denver did lead twice, and they just couldn't keep that door closed. You'll hear later Nick talk about that kind of takes just the air out of the room when that happens. But first half, you really couldn't have scripted a better start. Just 12 minutes in, Janine showed exactly why she's become one of the league's most dangerous set-piece takers. Instead of swinging it to a traditional corner, she rolled a perfectly weighted pass to Yasmin Ryan at the top of the box. Ryan took one touch, spun past her defender, and buried it inside the near post against her former club.
Stays on the ground towards the top of the area. It's Yasmin Ryan. Ryan is going for goal! Wow! Yasmin Ryan with a firework off that right foot. 1-0 Denver.
Ryan from distance. We've seen her do this in the past, and here she is getting on the score sheet, opening this match. Just a rocket from outside of the box. She spins the defender a little bit and sends that near post right past Jane Campbell. What a cracking hit from her. My, oh my, Yasmin Ryan.
When we asked her about that moment, here's what she had to say.
Well, I think initially I was supposed to cross it, but I just had to, figure it out as well. But yeah, I knew once I turned to my right and I had a little bit of time, just getting it on target is something huge for me. So I felt it in the moment, and so I'm glad that it paid off.
Talk about a statement. I mean, former Dash player, first goal of the night against Jane Campbell. That's how we wanted this game to start. I personally was down behind the goal with our incredible Summit fans, and even though it was quite literally 100 degrees outside, that is not an exaggeration, I did check, I had chills when that happened. I mean, it was absolutely electric. I was standing right in front of, gotta shout out my two friends, Jocelyn and Jeff, and their screams are the ones that you can hear the primary screams of in our Instagram video. It was electric, great to see. And unfortunately, that lead didn't even last long enough for me to get that video up on Instagram. Houston answered almost immediately when Kat Radar finished inside the box after a Maggie Graham and Linda Olmark combined created a chance.
That'll get the fans on their feet and into this game early on here at Dick's Sporting Goods Park. Now Houston trying to respond, looking to play over the top. It's Maggie Graham, cross through the middle, loose ball there and put away! It's an immediate response from Houston and Kat Raider, 1-1.
I'm going to play that, send my player running. Graham gets on the end of it. The first initial there was a little bit of a mess up, but Raider to have the belief.
My jaw was on the floor. It was so disheartening to see that happen absolutely immediately, and I have never heard our fan section so quiet. It almost was like everybody just collectively was like, did that just happen? So, it is what it is. Against Kansas City, Denver had struggled after conceding, but we didn't see that this time. Instead, they settled down, they continued creating chances, they kept pressing, and just before halftime, Allie Brazier drew a huge penalty. And who steps up? Our captain, Janine Sonis. Against the club that drafted her, she was calm, cool, clinical.
Brazier going down, it's a penalty! Denver forcing the issue again. Allie Brazier earns Denver's Summit a penalty.
On her tackle, Brazier knows she feels the pressure coming, just skips it past her, earns her team a penalty.
Janine Sonas scores! Sonas beats Campbell, and Denver leads again.
In the corner, too difficult for Jane Campbell to reach.
Denver heads into halftime leading 2-1. Matt, what were you thinking and feeling at the half?
Yeah, I had some thoughts. The first one, I was really tickled by this penalty because this might have been the longest wait to take a penalty I've seen in a live match in a long time. Paige Nielsen, she just stood on the penalty spot. So no Summit player was getting there to even put the ball down at this point because Paige was literally guarding the spot. And then Jane Campbell took 1, 2, 3 different hydration breaks. I don't know if she was checking her notes on her water bottle, as goalkeepers tend to write down the ways that players take PKs somewhere on their towel, on their water bottle, over to the side post where they can check that. But she went there three different times as the ref was configuring the rest of the players that were forming for potential rebounds on the PK. But it just felt like ages that we were doing that. And, you know, unfazed Janine Sonas. She steps up, doesn't stutter, doesn't over elaborate, just calmly buries a changeup too into the lower right corner, like a half speed, to the point where I think it fooled Jane so much that even though she had time to guess right, she still just leaped over the ball. So she almost kind of like created a bridge to just like give the ball a little shade from the 100-degree sun as it went into the back of the goal and gave Summit goal number 2. That left me like pretty excited, but I do think we need to talk about that Cat Ratter goal where they just went right over the top and responded. If we're going back to our first segment, it was like, you know, Yaz was like, oh, hey, like, I'm welcome to the villa. And then Cat Ratter was like, let me pull you for a chat. And, yeah, so that was a little deflating. And I thought it was going to happen again because Summit scored this PK. And then Dash just like seemed to open the floodgates to try and get an equalizer right at the death of the first half. You had Linda Allmark and Janine have been going at it. And it seemed like it activated Linda. Like at one point, Janine just kind of like hockey checked her. And then that seemed to like turn Linda up to 11. She became such a force in this match, like throughout it. We're gonna call her name a few times as we talk about the second half. But yeah, I went into the half excited, but I went into it kind of worried that we were about to get Casey currented again, that the Dash realized they could just skip over everything and go straight to goal.
And into the second half, it wasn't quite a full-on Casey Curran situation, but it was not the start that Denver was hoping for. Into the second half, the exact start Denver did not want. Just 3 minutes after halftime, Maggie Graham whips a dangerous ball into the area that Linda Ulmark finds and finishes for her first professional goal, making it 2-2.
Raider. Space on the far side for Houston to exploit. Early ball in! Allmark's there! Houston find another equalizer!
For them to switch the ball, and her ability to cross that first time with her left foot. We saw it in the first half.
Again, after conceding early in the second half, they did not fold. They kept pushing. They generated opportunities. Several opportunities, as we'll get into stats a little bit later. And they looked like the team far more interested in finding a win over the final 40 minutes. Jane Campbell had to make multiple real quality saves, and Denver continued to put Houston under pressure until the final whistle. I think collectively we all thought Yaz was going to get another one right there at the end.
Cormack cuts it in. Kostler, it's there. Yasmin Ryan saved! A game-saving stop from Jane Campbell!
Despite the draw, it did feel like Summit controlled long stretches of the game, even after the equalizer. Individual performances and a few stats for you, but before that, Matt, final thoughts on the second half?
Second half was frustrating. It just seemed like we could throw as many shots at the goal and Jane Campbell as we wanted, and none of them were going to go in. Both from, just to be honest, poor quality shot taking, both from a shot selection, but a shot power standpoint. But also it just didn't seem like anything was going to go our way that second half. This really felt like we had a barrage of offense. Like it was there. We had the chances. We'll talk about those stats, but it just seemed like it wasn't going to happen. Houston seemed content to park the bus, leave with a point, 2-2, get some semblance of vengeance from that 4-1 beatdown we put on them at home. And yeah.
Speaking of those shots, we had 26 shots. 13 of them were shots off target, 10 were on target, 3 were blocked, 15 of them were inside the box. Inside the box, 15 shots, as opposed to Houston Dash's 6 shots in the box. So that's what I walked away being a little bit frustrated with, which we talked to Nick and the team about. I think my favorite quote of his from the post-conference presser, just to give everybody a preview, was, "Yeah, I also like it when the shots go in the goal."
Yeah, when it goes in the goal.
And it just kind of felt like a collective, like, yeah, which reminded me, actually, off topic tangent, of a trend I've been seeing of people playing dumb at World Cup games and things. And they're like, I don't know, if it were me, I would just put the ball in the goal. I don't know what these people are doing. And it's typically someone who obviously has no soccer experience or knowledge or anything. And obviously that wasn't the vibe that Nick was going for as the head coach of our team, but it did feel eerily similar to be like, yeah, also one of my favorite parts of the game when the ball goes in the goal. So yeah, back to the stats.
Nick can take Allie's tagline of "put it in the back" as her favorite supporter section soccer mantra. Like, just put it in the back. I don't know. What are they doing?
Just do it. I don't know. Just like put the ball in the goal. Oh man. Moving on from our stats, I will give a shout out to the individual performance of Yasmin Ryan. I mean, she scored the opener, and it was not only a beautiful finish, but it was the confidence that she played throughout the whole game. She has been just building over this season so far. I've loved watching her play. And every time she was isolated one-on-one, she looked dangerous, which is her favorite thing to be. So loved seeing that. And you could just tell that she really, really wanted this one.
We talked about in the last episode, kind of sharing the MVP vote between Abby and Janine so far. And I thought, close behind, but I hadn't really investigated enough until watching this performance, watching that solo goal effort that she did, and then looking at the stats after. Yaz has created 11 big chances in our 13 matches. The next 2 highest are Melissa at 4 and Janine at 3. And these are dangerous players in Janine and Melissa. And Yaz has made 11 big chances. And the stat that isn't going to show there is how much of that has been aided by Io Oka. Now they've been paired on the right side. But at this point, we are the Denver Yaz Ryans. Like, she's our attack. She's the force. Like, yeah, the game meant something to her, and boy, does she mean something to us.
That's our opener right there. I couldn't agree more. Personally, I know that there was some discord about how it was frustrating not to get more points on the board, but hey, a point on the board, a draw going into what's going to be a really tough game just gives us something to build on and gives some more grit to the team of what they're going to work on this week. Defensively, I think things are still cleaning up. Houston scored twice by exploiting some transition moments and attacking quickly before Denver's shape could fully recover. And I think that's become a smidge of a trend. Nick has talked repeatedly about managing those small moments, the transition moments, and I imagine that'll continue to be a huge emphasis point of this week, especially with, the debut of our very own Lindsay Heaps. Here's a little bit more from Nick after the game.
Nick, obviously with the result, you talked about last week out, you talked about the response. What kind of response would it take? And I just want to get your thoughts on, did you feel the team responded in the way that you wanted them to, and just your overall reaction?
Yeah, I think you can see the response was evident. I've seen it in training this week, and I felt it today in the locker room and in the warm-up. And the approach and the hunger and the belief and the ambition to win, you can see is evident. Small details that we have to work through, and there's another one we should win, but we didn't. So we just got to continue working.
Nick, how do you fix that not winning aspect of it? 26 shots, 15 in the box, average position of everyone but Meg and KK was at the half line or above. Is it getting caught out? Where does the finishing or the defensive solidarity come up?
Yeah, I think I said exactly that to the team. Is to me, the best teams are player-led. The best locker rooms are player-led and are driven within. And that's not to say that I'm not responsible. Of course, I'm accountable and responsible for the team as head coach. But I do feel at the moment, in these moments, that it's like there's just something that's just got to click and stitch together. And I'm not within the locker room. So I think the players have got to, step forward and figure that one out. Because like you say, I just said to Lindsay there, this game reminded me so much of the Seattle game. Without the poor goals, we carry the ball, we're in the box, but we just didn't create big enough opportunities. It reminded me of the Utah game, and there's sort of nearly games. And I think I said to the staff, tell me if you feel this is normal for a new team. Is this meant to be like this as a new team, or are we missing something? Do we need to do something? And I don't necessarily think it's the senior leaders, everybody, whether you're in the team, out the team, whether you're off the bench, is the best teams I've always won with have had that dynamic feel in there. And that doesn't necessarily mean you got to go for sushi or go for coffee and be best friends, but as a team sport, they have that intensity, and we're building it. I'm impatient, right? I want it now. So, yeah, that is a really good question. I asked the same thing to the team.
When you see Yaz score another great goal, do you just maybe wish she took more opportunities like that, fired away more often, regardless of where she's at?
Yeah, when it goes in the goal, my biggest frustration tonight was we shot from 18, 20 yards too much. And that's that feel piece. It's the relationships and the cohesion and the sort of unconscious sort of rapport that you have as a great attacking team, that you just put the ball in an area because you know your mate's going to be there. And when you're shooting from 18, 20 yards and you're not testing the goalkeeper, in a game like this, it's sort of, everything goes, but you don't want that. You want to keep going. So I love when the players shoot and it goes in the net from anywhere, yeah.
Can you talk about the partnership that's developing? We saw tonight with Io and Yaz on that right side, and how much of an added layer that can be to the attack?
I think when you see our best performances, our best goal chances, they've involved Yaz and Io, right? We have to really grow that, and they have to grow it together to understand that they're unplayable when they play that way. And you can see, I said consistently to the team in the water breaks and at halftime, you set this team up on the side, we'll create chances. Just keep setting them up on the side. We said at the water break, if you can't set them up on the side, on the right, just put it on the left. We put it on the left. Didn't even put it into alley, we get penalty. Sometimes I wish you could play as well.
Nick, Ryan Dean with 5280 Pitch. Is this the second time in 3 weeks that you guys have controlled a lot of these underlying numbers, like stats-wise, without that winning result to match? Curious, what is your fix and kind of what you are thinking of doing in turning this dominance of stats and underlying numbers into actual points down the stretch?
It's process. Has to be. The process has got us here, right? So You know, we can think of changing the system. We changed the lineup tonight, right? We changed probably the biggest lineup change I've done. Gave some players some opportunity that haven't had it. Just got to stick to the process. And like I say, you know, I think for me to go from being a good team to a great team is about being deliberate. And it's about really taking accountability and responsibility and doing a little bit more. And, you know, if you have a good game, you got to go and look at how you have a great game. And if you've had 2 chances, how do you get 4 chances? Because like you say, right, we're in and around that box for the whole game. If I'm a number 9 or if I'm an opposite winger or if I'm a 10 getting in the box and I'm not getting a lot of offensive volume from them moments, I'm going to go work at why, because I think we had some good performances tonight, but ultimately you guys know, and you guys are the ones that produce it, numbers matter. If you're a number 10, you know, I said to the team, I think as a 10 or a winger, you got to be around 15 for me. To be a top team, you got to be around 15 at the end of the year, goals and assists, 7 and 8, 10 and 5. And if you're not there, you're not going to be in that sort of elite bracket. So as a player, you got to ask yourself how you're going to get there. And as coaches, you got to put us under pressure and, you know, make sure that you are the player that's getting there. And then the team will always benefit from that. So good tonight, but I agree a little bit. There's something missing that will take us that next step.
One more for Nick.
Yeah.
What was the biggest difference you saw in the game coming out of the half, and what will the disruptions maybe in momentum play in that?
I just think I think we don't win the game on moments. Like, we knew they were going to try and play in transition and try and hit us on counter-attack. That's the type of team they are. And I think the first goal is too cheap. The second goal is their moments all come from cheap moments. And Kansas did, right? You look at Kansas, we didn't deserve to win the Kansas game, but we gifted them some moments and some goals. And I think at this level, you know, I say to the team, every day I say to the team, it's meant to be difficult. This is the highest level of the game. This is professional football. You can change countries. You can go to Germany or France or England. That's just your opinion that league might be better. But this is the highest level. It's meant to be difficult. So you've got to be on your game every week, because if you drop the ball down and you're out of position, they'll put the ball on the side, put it in the box, and it'll be 2-2. We've got to get better at those moments.
I think what we heard from Nick, at least something that I think was pretty easy to read through the tea leaves, was a coach sending a message to his players that this one's on y'all. Like, we were set up well. You guys did almost everything well. You didn't finish. I know you talked about that point, Kaylee, and I really think this is 2 drop points. I think this is a loss in my eyes. This was a game that we should have handily controlled. We did it on their home turf 4-1, and it just seemed like we had the yips on finishing. And then going back and looking, I asked Nick about this. The whole team's average position on the field was at the half line or above, except for Kaylee Kurtz and Meg Reed, or when she came in, Kaylee Kurtz and Ava Gaetino. What this means is all of that offensive volume is going to be easy to create. It's going to be great, but you have to put it in the back, or at least keep it, because the moment you don't finish, the moment you lose the ball, you're hanging your 2 center backs, the only 2 shields in front of Abby Smith, you're hanging them out to dry. And I think Nick relayed this a little bit. It's definitely how I felt. Like, this was a team that needs just a little bit more of that je ne sais quoi. They need either the belief, they need more bite, because the volume is there, the positioning was there, the runs were there, that we're great. Our passing statistics rock when we're in the opponent's half, but like, we just need to take it up a level. And I think that's going to be a perfect segue for you here.
What do you think, before we move on, what do you think is going to change that? I know that Nick said, you know, you don't have to go out to sushi, you don't have to go out to coffee, you don't have to be best friends, but they're missing that feel between the team, trusting each other well. What's going to change that for them?
I mean, what we said from the beginning is time. We often forget this is an expansion side, because this was an expansion side built to win, not to win tomorrow, not to win next year, to win today, to win every ball, to win duels, to win the battle at the net, to put it past the keeper. Our expectations are sometimes viewed as overinflated, but I think our expectations are exactly what was set out for this team in the build from start to finish. And so you've got Melissa's in a bit of a slump. Tosh has been injured. Yuzu's still getting acclimated. Allie's now getting starting minutes. Like, we're still on that kind of like jogging while getting our stride so we can start running mode. And I think probably, and this might not be like the nicest way to describe her, but we need kind of a bully to come into the locker room and light a fire under some butts. Like, I think Janine and KK have been playing good cop, bad cop. And if anything, we've talked on the show week after week about how accountable Janine holds herself and this team and is the driving force to correct these downturns. And it felt like it was happening today again. When she took that penalty, I looked over to you. I was like, that's one of 3 for my Janine hat trick that I predicted.
You did.
Yeah, so I think they hear Nick's post game. I think Lindsay's going to hear that post game. I was talking to somebody earlier today when I've been at training. Lindsay hasn't been the most vocal. She's been very much taking things in. Like, she's still communicative on the pitch. And then I've seen her taking lots of one-on-ones on the side and after training with different players and really kind of ingratiating herself to the group and getting to know everyone. And I think her literal phrasing was feel everyone out. But I think when we get to training on Thursday, because she knows she's playing on Saturday, we're going to hear a different tone. We are going to hear the captain of the U.S. women's national team telling the team in no uncertain words, both vocally and in her play, that these last 2 results are far below the standard. And that's Saturday. Like, those results aren't on the table. Win, lose, or draw? No. Next 2 of those, it's got to be a win.
I love the excitement that builds just with that vibe coming into the team and that just authority, because you wouldn't say those kind of things. You wouldn't expect this. You wouldn't feel this as a fan or feel this in conversations with coaches and players if there wasn't untapped potential. I think that's the thing that gets me most excited for the rest of the season, is that it's not like, man, we're really maxed out, we're playing at our best, and it's just not good enough. It's, no, there's pieces that aren't clicking, there's things to be unlocked, and what is that going to be? When is it going to happen? Is it going to be Lindsay? Is it going to be time? What is this missing piece that we're waiting for? So it gets me, the anticipation of all of that gets me so excited for the rest of the season, and just to see how those pieces come together or fall apart in the coming games. Obviously, the optimist in me is expecting everything to fall into place because the hard work is there underlying, but I guess we shall see.
That's a really good point, because I've covered teams, I've watched teams, I've listened to press conferences where you can clearly hear that they are just moving words around week to week to try not to say we've reached our ceiling. And this is not the case. This is a team that's trying to say, like, we're nowhere near our ceiling, but we should definitely be raising our floor at this point.
Absolutely. Which shifts our attention to what might be one of the biggest moments in our club's history. You know what? Scratch that. It is one of the biggest moments in our club's history. The move to Centennial Stadium. A new home, a new atmosphere, an added player, and another opportunity for this young club to keep taking steps forward. Matt, tell us what fans need to know heading into the Portland Thorns versus Denver Summit FC game.
Yeah, I mean, I think the first thing, we won't have the availability report out until Friday, but we now know that Rylan Turner will be out for Seattle Reign. For those that heard me last week make the pitch of the possibility of running up the price of the brick on Sophia Smith in order to force the Thorns to have to offload someone like Rylan Turner in free agency, the way that Kansas City got Croy Bethune, I was hoping maybe we could get Turner. So, I mean, that completely viable, no holes in the logic strategy still holds. I don't think that this injury like changes any of that. Perhaps it even helps us. We're like, hey, Portland, you're not gonna get her for probably 4 to 6 weeks. Like, we'll take her off your hands and give you some some cash flow for you to to bank on Sophia. But no, this is a bummer. She was seen on crutches after the Seattle Reign versus Portland Thorns Cascadia Cup match that just happened. The circulating news does put it at 4 to 6 weeks, which kind of tracks. She's probably got like a sprain to her MCL, PCL, something like that. I think what really is the silver lining here for soccer fans is that it's not a season-ending injury, from what I'm hearing, which you never want to see. NWSL is rife for ACL tears, women soccer players in particular. So for rallying to get out of this with hopefully just, a sprain and we'll be back before the season ends, like we're definitely thinking of her and hoping her recovery is quick. The other news is from our injury report you saw in the last match that Tosh played. We talked to her afterwards. She talked about the broken ribs. We'll put the clip in here, but I loved what she said.
I think if I didn't go into the match just with me all and knowing full out, I might come out of it out the other end sore or not sore, and then I'm just going to end up getting hurt if I go half-hearted. So just went into the game like fully like went full in then, and just nothing happened, so that was good.
She's like, I had to know I could play fearless, because if I was playing with fear, then I wouldn't be able to play my game. And I thought she showed that. And I think she's going to show that even more next game. And Tosh Flint is, I think, probably the second most important person to our attack right now after Yaz Ryan. So getting her back is going to be huge for this match. Just on the Tosh note, how cool is it seeing her back out there?
Oh, I loved seeing her play. The second she stepped on the pitch, I was like, oh, let's go. There's so much chance. There's so much momentum when she steps on the field. And I loved that. Quickly in the post-game presser, she says, ribs are good. Great. Moving on.
Ribs, great. It's good to be back in the squad. Hopefully a bit more minutes next weekend and be able to contribute a little bit more than I did today. But yeah, the ribs are really good.
Direct and to the point.
And for us, when Tosh plays, we have the chance of getting a Tosh post-game presser. And those are some of the best. Like, Tosh is hilarious. She's honest. Like, it's so much fun to talk to her. What was really fun is we asked both her and Nick after the main availability, is it coming home? For fans listening, both Nick Cushing and Natasha Flint are English and are watching their country in the Men's World Cup as it tries to get to the finals. And I think Nick was a little reluctant to say it's coming home, but not Tosh.
He was.
Tosh
I was shocked.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was a little bit like, I hope so. I think so. Tosh was like, absolutely.
Yeah.
She was all
Even
for
if
it.
she's wrong, I hope we can all learn to imbue our lives with the confidence of Tosh Flint saying that it's coming home to the England men's team in the World Cup.
Love it.
Yeah. So back to the game. Thorns are coming off a derby loss, like we mentioned, to Seattle Reign. This is a Cascadia Cup. This is a great event. Portland Thorns, I believe, have 5 wins in the series to Seattle's 3. Don't fact check me on that one. I'm going on memory, or do, and then we'll correct it next episode. In this match, Seattle put up both goals in the first half, 8th minute, 43rd minute, and then just kind of weathered the Thorns for another 45 plus to salt away this win. That's notable because looking at the stats after the game, I think you're going to hear some familiar things. Thorns had 26 shots, 17 of which were inside the box, 10 on target. Additionally, they had 8 corners and their expected goals were 2.34. So this is an extreme underachievement from the Portland Thorns. I didn't watch this game, so I don't know if the shot selection and then the actual shots themselves were as frustrating in this match as some of the ones that Summit took were. But, I mean, does this remind you of someone, Kaylee?
Looking at the numbers, I was like, did he copy and paste the numbers that I just read? No, he did not. That is a crazy parallel of what our 2 games looked like.
Yeah, so like we mentioned before, Summit also put up 26 shots, 15 of which were in the box, 10 of which were on target. And just like last weekend, both opposing goalkeepers were the highest rated players in those matchups. That was Cassie Miller for Seattle Reign and then Jane Campbell for Houston Dash. I think the difference here is that last weekend, Denver only allowed 9 shots from Houston, while Portland let Seattle kick it at Mackenzie Arnold 17 times. There is some accounting for quality. The Rainer, I would argue, a much better team than the Houston Dash. I think the NWSL table would argue that as well. But that is an encouraging stat as we're looking for, some slim differences to parse all of these similarities that we're talking about. I think really, though, it goes to show that even though this is going to be a matchup between us of the 3rd and 11th on the table teams, 3rd being Portland Thorns, 11th on the table, unfortunately being Denver Summit, these teams are a lot closer than that would lead you to believe. And this goes back to what Lindsay Heaps talked about in her press conference, that the parity of the NWSL and kind of the allure of the league to a player is that any team can win any day. That's important because we're going to be the underdogs going into this match. I mean, does it feel like we're the underdogs? Do you get that vibe?
I definitely feel like the underdogs. I feel like Portland is such a strong team, and just seeing the last couple matchups for Summit, I really, really am hoping for this week at training, Lindsay coming in, for things to be clicking with Tosh back on. Like, I see the hope and the potential, but at this point, it is the hope. I do feel like the underdog going into this match.
Yeah, and I mean, because we're an NWSL podcast, I don't have to talk about that illegal gambling scam that partners with the MLS call sheet and any peer-to-peer future derivative trading. So we don't have to bet on this. We're not going to talk odds here. We're just going to talk that Portland is the higher team on the table. They edge us out in goals scored. They edge us out in goals conceded. They are likely going to beat us in duels. At least that's what the stats would say. But if we force them to, they'll struggle to pass around in our half. That's really a weak spot for them. And that's the opposite for us, because when we send everyone but Ava and KK up the field, we find a lot of joy in moving the ball around in any opponent's half. We've really been able to do that to anyone. It's been a characteristic of the Summit attack that hasn't really faltered given which opponent we're facing. I think what's going to happen is the Thorns will be more potent than we are. They at least should be on paper. Their top attackers, Olivia Moultrie, Pietra Torden, and Sophia Wilson, are sitting at 10, 10, and 8 goals plus assists, respectively. Our top 3 are 7, 6, and 6 from Janine, Tosh, and Yaz. For those listening, I think we talked about this on a previous podcast, but a really good metric to see who's contributing the most. I know goals typically take the highest card on the stat line, but goals plus assists really show who's doing the most cumulative work. So like in this instance, Pietra Torden is an assist master for Portland Thorns. Like we have to look out that she doesn't Croy Bethune us, if you will, if we can go back 2 games or if it's too soon. I think I have some caveats here, mainly that their attackers have played 2 more games than ours. Portland Thorns have played 15 games on the season to our 13 games. So there's an argument that they should have higher stats because they've had more opportunity. Maybe an argument that they'll be a little more tired than we are, and coming to altitude, we should really push that effect. And then the other caveat is that one of our best finishers, one of our most important players in the attack, Tosh Flint, missed 2 matches. So it seems a little natural that we'll be down in those attacking stats. And then just as an aside, I don't know if you saw me this week, but I went out to training twice at the new Centennial Performance Center. And I don't know what's going on with the sun down in Centennial, but I absolutely just got fried by it. It's like,
Did
it's
notice. I was like, wow,
unforgiving.
Matt's
Yeah.
looking pretty tan this week.
Yeah, I go to training for the Rapids in Commerce City. I go to the pool. I'm out playing soccer at high noon on the weekends. But something about the sun in Centennial was just magnified and roasted me to a crisp. We were all burning up there. That said, I really think we're gonna wilt those roses and thorns with that heat, because 12 p.m. match time, we talked about this, 98-degree forecast. There is no shade. Like,
There's
spoiler
not
alert,
even
if you
a-
haven't
a-
been down there yet, guys,
Not even
there's
a
no reprieve.
little teeny tiny piece of shade.
Yeah. Wear your sun shirts, put your sunscreen on. I don't think umbrellas are allowed, but figure something out. Bring those fans from Pride. I think I saw, like, maybe you can get some misters in. But we're all going to suffer. And I think that bodes well, because I think the Portland Thorns will suffer even more. Do you remember when we talked to, go ahead.
Can I just give a slight callback, a baby callback, if you will, that Matt just said the heat is going to wilt those roses. If that's not a new tagline for the show, I mean, guys, come on. A caption for your Instagram photo when you posted the game, that's for sure.
Well, speaking of roses, do you remember the conversation we had with Sophia for the U.S. women's national team game against Japan? And we're like, do you feel like you're going to be a leader here because you're already accustomed to this? And she's like, oh, no. My husband and I live in Arizona now. I don't do altitude anymore. So while she can do heat, clearly, hopefully coming back to elevation will give her a little pause. It certainly didn't seem to in that game against Japan, but we're looking for any advantage we can get here. That said, on paper, I think a lot of people, I'm leaning towards it, will chalk this up as a loss for the Denver Summit. It's got a really parallel storyline feel to it of Mile High Stadium, where everyone and their uncle and aunt are there. It's this momentous occasion, and it almost feels like the game gets lost in that, and we ended up with a draw. This one feels like another occasion. We're opening the 2-year home, this brilliantly green stadium in Centennial, Colorado, and it could be a disappointing outcome. I think, like we mentioned earlier, Thorns coach Rob Villum will probably let the bulk of his lineup sit back in their defensive half, while we know Nick is going to push almost all of ours up into the offensive half. And if we aren't clinical, if we don't finish, we're going to get killed on the counter. They're going to send Soph up. They're going to send Olivia up. Like, Pietra is just going to dish the ball out like Croy Bethune did on counters, and our back line's going to get hung out to dry. However, that's on paper, and there are two big factors that I think we need to look at going into this game. The first is that the Thorns' prowess looked a little less prickly without Ryland Turner in the Seattle match. I don't know if she was just absorbing enough attention that it gave a lot more freedom to Olivia, to Sophia in the attack, but they seemed almost neutralized despite the shot count, or at least less threatening in this match. So we know they won't have Ryland going into this. And then the other is the Summit are about to drop in the U.S. women's national team captain, Colorado native, and one of the best soccer players in the world into this stadium debut day lineup. Question's going to be, appropriately, how much of an effect will Lindsay have? How much will she play? And what will her play do as a force multiplier to the rest of the team? We know she'll definitely change what Nick does, at least a little tactically, on the formation board. But when she gets on the pitch, what she allows for other players to do out there around her in the game, and she'll definitely add some of that sorely needed finishing. I think if we get another 26 shots on goal and 5 of them come from Lindsay Heaps, 2 of them are going in. Question to you, Kaylee, do you think her presence is going to be enough to lift the Summit over this contentious point of leaking goals we've had recently?
Okay, so I'm usually the one that is incredibly optimistic. I come out hot with positive vibes and too many goals, but I think this is going to be a really tough game. I hate to predict against my girls, but I don't think we're quite ready. And I think we're going to see a lot of improvements. I think we're going to see a lot of promise, and I do think Lindsay is going to have a big effect on the team. But there's something about, I don't know, I just don't think we're quite there. I think we're going to see a 2-1 Thorns win, and that might be my first true loss prediction. I think I've predicted some draws. I would have to go back. You got to run the tape back for that one. I think Lindsay or Tosh are going to get the goal. I think we're going to see some really incredible soccer, but I just don't know if we have it in us this time.
That's good. So listeners, my trick worked. I convinced Kaylee to pick a loss because your boy's not going to do that to the team. We're coming out with a dub from the Centennial Stadium debut. You let the haters hate, namely Kaylee Long.
Hey,
but I
I'm
got
not
you
a hater.
with the hopium. I think this game is going to be storybook because something I didn't mention when we talked about the game earlier, you talked about this play in particular, was Yaz Ryan was set up for the storybook ending on that goal. I think that was the 93rd minute that would have won the game against her former team, capped off the double, and really solidified her statement of intent as one of the best attacking players in the NWSL. And I feel like we were robbed of that storybook ending. Like Jane Campbell was just sharp enough. I think Yaz had the shot angle, like it was almost there. So I think the universe is going to give us the storybook ending this week. It stole from us last week so that it can make sure it gives us the storybook ending this week. And I think we are going to win.
Is it the universe or is it Lindsay Heaps?
Well, yes. Yeah. What's the difference? They both cover everything.
It's true.
I don't think either team's going to play defense this week. I think it's going to be too hot. They're going to be too laggy, and we are just going to get offensive football. And I think it's going to be a 4-3 Denver Summit win where Lindsay Heaps scores the storybook ending winning goal against her former team, the Portland Thorns. We forgot to talk about that in this match preview. She's a Thorn.
People didn't know that. Okay, not anymore.
If you didn't know, now you know. I think it's a pretty well-known fact. I don't think we're breaking any news here. But storybook ending against her former team, against her friend Sophia Wilson and U.S. Women's National Team teammate in the new stadium, in her home debut, in front of 14,500 people, in 100-degree heat. And I think that's going to be the final sales pitch that gets Sophia to us in free agency. She's going to say, well, I'm never going to be able to beat Lindsay here, so I might as well join her. I'm going to give goal scorers, I think. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
No.
I've got it after this.
All right. I'm giving a brace to Lindsay Heaps. I'm giving a goal to Yaz and a goal to Janine. No, actually, I'm giving a goal to Yaz, and then Melissa's getting out of the slump. Melissa Kostler is going to score a goal. I think Moultrie 1, Sophia Wilson 2 goals.
Matt, I mean, you sold me. All right, I switched to yours. I understand and stand by mine.
We literally have an audio and video record. You don't get to switch.
I know. No. I mean, I switched
entered
in my
your plea.
heart.
The jury's not going to hear a different one.
I'm hoping in my heart that you're right. I do feel like the pessimist, I don't know. I don't know what's been switching for me lately, but I think I stand by what I said because I always will. But you've won my heart over. I'm hoping for your outcome. That is for sure. I'm hoping for yours more than I'm thinking I'm right.
I mean, just to give you a perspective on my track record, when I look at things and say like, oh, neither of these teams are going to play defense, it's going to be a high scoring game, that almost assures we're going to see a 0-0 draw at the end of 96 minutes in just sweltering heat. So two sides of the coin.
I mean, I'm hoping for yours. I want a storybook ending. I want to, if I'm going to be in the heat, I want to enjoy the time. And I am so excited to see Lindsay make her debut. I think it's going to be a great game, no matter the score.
I'll tell you what, listeners, if we win, and especially if we win in spectacular fashion with a Lindsay Heaps golazo to take the 3 points, after Kaylee and I are done with the press conference, just go right down the road, meet us at Cherry Creek Reservoir. We're going swimming. We're going to cool off.
We're
going to
jumping
celebrate.
in.
We're having a party. Like, it's right by the stadium. Like, done.
I'm in. Count me in. For those that are going to the
we
game,
can get 14,000 people to go right from the stadium to Cherry Creek Reservoir. I'm going to call the parks department.
I think Summit fans could make some haste and get their butts down there. Absolutely.
Hollow paddle boards, if you're listening, just have them ready and waiting for us on the side of the reservoir.
Yeah, Kong and LaCroix, Summit partners, be ready with bevies for the people and the pups.
Done.
If you are headed down to Centennial, there's a couple things that you should know. So for the new stadium, there's a lot of different rules. Rules feels like lame to say, but there's a lot more guidelines around the stadium. On the weekend games, the parking lot's going to open 2 hours before the game. And on the weekday games, it will open 1 hour before. So that means this beautiful Saturday game, the lots will open at 10 a.m. The fan zone will be open at 10 a.m. and the stadium gates will open at 10:30 a.m. Reminder, the match starts at noon. Parking, if you guys haven't gotten an email from Summit about all of this information, let me know and I can forward it to you because it is really helpful. I am the girl that reads about the parking before I go somewhere because I do not like getting pissed off and frustrated before I even get to have fun at an event. So there is some parking passes. No, I'm not done. There's some parking passes. There are some general parking. There are some shuttle services. Matt, I can see it in your eyes. You were trying to get me to stop talking about parking, but there's still more. There's rideshare options, public transportation. There will be some street closures, so be sure to maintain your boundaries within and outside of those. Yes, Matt, you may go now that I've concluded my parking.
No, I think you should
PSA.
talk about parking. I was just going to say, you read all of the terms and service agreements, don't you? Like every word. You scroll the whole thing.
I don't read the terms and services nearly as much as I should. I don't read the fine details, but if it is something that is going to inconvenience me, like a bag policy, like a ticketing, how to get my tickets. Fun fact, I'm actually not allowed to have the tickets in my family anymore. I've messed up too many times. We have deliberated that is not a responsibility for me to handle. I handle a lot of other things. I am a great contributor to our household, but not in the
Shout out
ticket
Ryan
department.
for
That is
making the hard but good call.
Every now and then, actually, it was right before we went to the World Cup. I informed him, I was like, hey, by the way, our tickets are not with our friends. And he was like, what? I was like, yeah, sorry, it didn't work. And he was, okay, but you have them. I was like, I actually don't know what email or where they are. And he's like, Haley, we leave for LA in 2 days. I was like, sorry, this is why I wasn't supposed to be in charge of it. So anyways, I digress into my personal life. Yeah, if there's something to read about something that could possibly inconvenience me or make me have a bad time just because I didn't read the FAQ, I'm going to read the FAQ. So, all that
Speaking
to
of
say,
the FAQ, did you cover that there is no tailgating in these parking lots? That is a rule.
I did not cover that. I did not say that.
So if you are intending to tailgate, then be sly. These parking lots are all operated by LAZ Parking. So if you do have issues tailgating, breaking rules, just be clear, this is a third-party parking entity that is working these lots. This is not the Denver Summit telling you you can't tailgate. This isn't, Janine Sonis saying you can't have your Labatt Blues before the game. This is a third party, so act accordingly. Respect the rules. Let's keep the flow going, and then maybe we can get some concessions later in the season, get some tailgating lots, some tailgating spaces. But don't ruin it for everybody this weekend. If you want to tailgate, go to Cherry Creek Reservoir. If you want to have fun on the ride, then take the bus from 99ers. They will have beers. They are leaving, I think, at 9:30, 10 a.m. They might still have some tickets left. Annie and Miranda will make sure you have a great time, and they probably won't yell at you. Or get on the E-line. You can take the E-line all the way down to Arapahoe East Village Station, and then take the 153 bus to the Centennial Stadium. It drops you off right there, and no one says that can't be a party bus. Like, we can figure out how to put the RTD in party bus. I didn't think of it right there, but we need to get a D in there. Or do what we've pitched, like bike ride the Cherry Creek Trail, like put a little crate on the back, put some libations in there, just Capri Sun pouches you throw out to all your friends and innocent bystanders. But yeah, let's have fun with this. It's a new location. I think the opportunity for this to come out with some really cool traditions is right there in front of us.
And this is why the FAQs are so important.
Yeah.
Additionally,
what is the Denver Cruiser ride? We need to talk about that one that has like 600 cyclists that do a party ride on Wednesday nights. Let's get them to go.
Fun.
That would be amazing.
They have to go. Yeah.
Oh, yes, there will be a bike valet at the stadium. That was also in the FAQ that you apparently didn't read enough to find out you can't tailgate. There will be a bike valet.
I was reading right now.
For all of you cycling enthusiasts can go there, park your bike, and it will be looked after and there for you when you leave the stadium. And the seats are green. Did we mention the seats are green?
We mentioned the seats, Matt. We know the seats are green. Our favorite color, clearly. And then the final FAQ, this is not a Q, but just more of a statement. The first 5,000 fans through the gates will receive a limited edition commemorative ticket presented by Common Spirit Health, celebrating Denver Summit FC's inaugural match at Centennial Stadium. I love
for real?
a giveaway. Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's designed to be a collectible keepsake.
Tickets.
Yeah, and the ticket, it'll have a historic milestone design on it, bringing in the new chapter of Denver Summit FC to life. And I mean, that is enough for me to get there early, as if I wasn't already going to be there early. But yeah, a lot of good things in the email. If you haven't had it, if you haven't read it, seems like I need to read it again. Let us know and we can forward you the email.
Welcome to Sum It Up, where we read emails to you.
Oh, now I'm so lame.
I like how we started the show as like Hot Goss Love Island, and we've ended with like ASMR, like FAQ email reads. Please make sure
what?
that
All that to
of
say
your
is we
bags
have
are less than
range.
8 by 6 inches.
The range on Sum It Up is never to be limited. So this is just our creativity shining through. I think we're hitting a new stride, Matt. I think
this is an us problem that we're trying to turn into an us gift to the greater world.
If someone was reading me the FAQs instead of me having to read it, I would be happy about it. So you never know who's we're helping out there.
I'm just going to print out the transcript of this episode so we can read it to each other this weekend.
Oh my goodness. Well, as always, be sure to check us out on socials, Summit Up Show on Instagram and at Summit Up on Blue Sky. If you're not able to make the game, Blue Sky is a great place to get a play-by-play. If you're busy, if you're working, if you're at a family breakfast that you just can't escape, you could just kind of sneak your Blue Sky updates under the table. Till next time, Sum It Up.
Sum it up.
funny episode.